Alright guys, I just got back from seeing Fantastic Four First Steps. I'm a big fan of these Marvel movies. I've been seeing them since the very first Iron Man. I'm always there on Thursday night, so just want to get that out of the way at the top. I am not a Marvel hater. And I liked Fantastic Four quite a bit. There's a lot that I liked here. We're going to get into that. And there's also that I really have to criticize. Marvel's failing in a lot of ways these days. And this movie has just a lot of bad stuff in it. And we're going to get into all of that stuff too. First, let's start off with a good fun fact. The director, Matt Shakman, actually is responsible for some of the last good parts of Game of Thrones. The big fights in season 7 with all the fire and Jaime goes into the water. That was the same director as Fantastic Four. Without a doubt, my favorite part about this movie was its portrayal of Galactus. He was threatening, he looked really cool, he sounded intense, great villain, and the action scenes around him were awesome. As far as the team goes, Vanessa Kirby, definitely the standout for me. She was great as the Invisible Woman. Her moments in the final fight scenes, I thought they were friggin' epic. She also has decent chemistry with Pedro Pascal as the leading couple. I bought that stuff. Sometimes in these movies, I just don't at all, but I bought them. The music was also really cool in this movie. Michael Giacchino composed it. He's composed a lot of great movies, including The Incredibles, which this one takes a lot from, to say the least. And he really shows up here. I loved the score. I also really have to compliment the action, what's there of it at least. The meeting with Galactus and the whole sequence that ensues around that, and then the final act fight scene, those were awesome. If you're a comic book movie fan, those are worth going to the movie for alone. I also really love the look of the world. The production design of this movie is great. A lot of Marvel movies these past couple years just look disgusting. They look like they take place in fake worlds. A lot of the times because they do, but look at Guardians of the Galaxy 3. That's a great example of a movie that takes place in completely fake places, but it still looks and feels real. They're somewhere tangible versus something like Quantumania where they're just pasted terribly into this 3D world. And I do overall think that this movie benefits from not having the MCU baggage. They're obviously responding to a lot of the complaints of people saying there's too much homework, too many shows, too many movies. And so this is a Marvel movie where there is nothing outside of the Fantastic Four mentioned. That's refreshing. And the central theme of family, it works. The script is nothing special, and we're going to get into that when I get to my more critical section, but I have to give them credit for meeting the very low bar, which most Marvel movies don't meet these days. They told a cohesive story around a theme. It works. This story of the family trying to keep the family together, yeah, you get from point A to point B with this, which I know does not say much, but a lot of these movies haven't even been trying to tell a story like that these days. It's just all over the place gobbledygook, so this is nice. If you've been liking my thoughts so far, why don't you smash that like button like the Thing, just smashing something to pieces, and why don't you give me a subscribe too if you want, and you can see more of these videos. I do reviews like this every week, and I do serious analysis where I tell you what movies actually mean. Alright, we're gonna get to the more critical stuff here now. As usual with the Marvel movies these days, the script is just not good. I don't know what they're doing over here. You watch one of these Marvel movies, you finish it, you go, that script was maybe 10% of the way done, and there's 5 people or so responsible. I think this had 4 people with writer credits. It's just ridiculous. What are they doing here? Can we just, have a bit more meat on the bones here? There's just so little in terms of story, so little in terms of action. They don't even come up with more plot contrivances to come up with action. They just kind of spin their wheels for a while. After the first meeting with Galactus, they get to the final act, and, well, that's that. That's the Marvel movie. I really wish that there had been more here in the story. And while I enjoy that this is removed from the baggage of the recent MCU and we skip all of the origin nonsense, I don't think the opening was executed very well. I just did not like it. The whole TV show opening, thumbs down. It was confusing to me messaging-wise in terms of, is this a real Fantastic Four? Is this like a TV version of the Fantastic Four that's portraying a certain type of image? And, I just didn't like it. I also didn't like the way the montage was done. It felt like really cheap exposition, which that's what it is. But there's ways to execute it better that would have left a better taste in my mouth. I don't hate the concept. I just hate the execution. Pedro Pascal, bizarrely miscast as Reed Richards. I don't know what he's doing here. seriously. This guy's working way too much lately. He needs to be more selective with his roles. I actually saw Eddington for a second time, back to back with Fantastic Four yesterday. Pedro Pascal is much better in that. He's been better in other things. He is not it for Reed Richards. Also, Reed is stupid. There's multiple times in this movie where Reed says something and he's very confident, and I think in my head, Reed, you're wrong. What are you, stupid? You're supposed to be one of the smartest men on the planet, and I just knew you weren't. There's a lot of underdeveloped stuff in this script. I'm complaining about how there wasn't more meat. Maybe we could have added some here. Johnny gets this whole subplot with Silver Surfer, which this is another thing where in concept, I think it really works. I understand what they're going for. I think it all ties up neatly. But the execution, it really falters. Way too much of it happens off screen. It's set up very clearly in the beginning as a subplot, and then it just kind of comes back at the end where Johnny's like, yeah, I've been translating languages in the background the whole time. What? On that note, there's a lot of just kind of sciencing and mathing off screen to push the plot forward. I don't think that was a good device. I think the Thing, Ben Grimm in general, is completely underutilized here. He's given a subplot with the Natasha Lyonne character. There's hints of things. It needed something more. Way more. Everything with Subterranea too. This is, I guess, the one main guy that they were cutting the opening still recently, apparently. John Malkovich was supposed to be in there, and now he's gone. Honestly, the whole Subterranea subplot, that could have maybe been cut entirely. I get that they need a reason to not have the people in New York when Galactus shows up, but the whole thing was Subterranea. Come on, guys. Is anybody really going to tell me that that was a fully fleshed subplot? Let's get real. I think in general, this movie has a problem with the lack of action outside of those main Galactus scenes and a lack of power usage. When you finally get to the final fight and I'm seeing some of these people use their powers, I'm like, whoa, we haven't gotten to see this at all. Why not? Why are we not seeing more of their powers? Why is Reed not stretching more? Why can't he just like stretch to do random stuff sometimes day to day? Johnny Storm, out of all the four, he gets to use his powers the most. There's a lot of that because he gets his stuff with the Silver Surfer. And so good for you, I guess. Also, thought the post-credit scene stuff just really lame, tired. You need to do something cooler here. They're saying the Russo brothers came in to direct that. I don't know. I don't know if that's more embarrassing for Matt Shackman or the Russo brothers. Also, the name. I don't like this name. Fantastic Four First Steps. It actually has a lot of different meanings. I'll give them that. It's the first steps of Franklin. It's the first steps of Fantastic Four in the MCU. It's a reference to how Fantastic Four is the first family, right, of the Marvel comics. But I'm sorry. I do not like that being the name for this movie. I don't think it rings well in my mind. Also, I'm going to have to put this in here. A comparison between Superman and Fantastic Four First Steps. I think Superman has higher highs, lower lows. Fantastic Four is kind of just more consistently like decent to good movie. There's more for me to rant about from Superman because it just takes bigger swings and it has bigger misses because of it. But I really enjoyed both as a comic book movie fan. Both of them were great summer movies for me. I'm giving it a 3 out of 5 stars. That is what I put on my Letterboxd, which give me a follow on there. Link is in the description. Well, that's what I have to say about Fantastic Four. That's what I'm going to call it because that is a much better name in my head. I've got an Eddington video coming out really soon. I've been hard at work writing that. I've seen that movie twice now. I really love it. There's been a lot of intelligent discussion about it online, but that video that I've got in the works, it's really going to be good. Also, I'm going to do a video about Sorry Baby. I saw that, and nobody gets that. Nobody is understanding what that movie is actually about. All the people who like it, they don't understand it. So I'm going to tell people what it's really about. Stay tuned for that one. If you like Sorry Baby, my take is really going to kind of blow your mind. What did you think of Fantastic Four? Comment below. Do you like Marvel movies lately? Do you like DC better? Do you have hopes for James Gunn? Do you have hopes for Doomsday? What do you think of everything right now? It's kind of a sad state of affairs to me, honestly. But have fun at the movies. I know I did.